Hello and welcome to Nikon Report, your weekly roundup of all the latest Nikon news and all other photographic announcements that we found interesting. It's Konstantin here, and here is
Becky.
All right, so what's the main news of today?
Nikon revised their forecast for the fiscal year ending March 31st, 2021.
So it's not all bad, is that what you say?
No, you've even put emojis in this.
Diamond hands.
So there is some good news, isn't there?
Yes. Let me explain you what diamond hands mean.
Okay.
Diamond hands means you hold on to the stock, whatever happens to it. Yeah?
Oh.
So you go through ups and downs, but you still hold it, and
So
you don't sell.
You're also a stocks and shares
Exactly.
expert, like the
It's
rest
all
of the,
going to be about stocks and shares today.
like the rest of the internet this week.
You see, it's going to be an outline theme throughout the podcast.
Okay.
But the official paper is out. It's all official. It came like this. I'm not going to say what we did to it. But
hungry.
What they did is they basically revised their estimate for the end of the quarter ending of March 2021. So previous forecast for revenue was 430,000 million yen, and they revised it to 450 million yen. So 20 million up. So that's 4.7% change. They're still down on previous year.
Mm-hmm.
So last year they did almost 600,000 million.
Wow, 600,000 million.
Bajillion, Sol and yen.
All right. I see.
Okay, so it's going to be 450 this time around, but what year it was, this one?
This was a special year.
A few things, pandemic.
A few things
and
happened.
all other things. In a nutshell, what they're going to do is they're going to make more money than what they projected before by 20,000 million yen.
We like that. That's a good thing. Well done, Nikon.
The stocks only go up. All right. So actually, speaking of financial news, the next comprehensive financial report from Nikon is scheduled to be released on February the 4th. So stay tuned. And the reason I said that is because we're on YouTube.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
I thought it was a typo.
You see what I did there? Yeah. Yeah.
Clever.
I'm funky like that.
Yeah. So next podcast, we should have some news from their next fiscal
That's right.
report.
Hopefully, if I can translate it from Japanese. All right. Well, there's been sad news, unfortunately,
yes,
as well.
Very sad news. The Nikon 51.2 AIS has now officially been discontinued in the UK. We were expecting this. We covered the discontinuation of these lenses, the manual focus series of lenses in Japan a few weeks ago.
Yes.
But now we've had an official notification from Nikon to say that the lens is dead.
That's right. So the first AI version came out in March 1978, and it was replaced by AIS version in June 1991, and it was produced pretty much till now.
Yes.
That's been quite a long time.
The end of an era, that's 40 years.
40 years. Well, my math is correct for the first time.
Well, my math, not yours.
Well, in my head, I was saying 39, and it should be 40.
No, that's the thing, right?
But if you're a collector, you probably can still pick up a brand new one as a last of brand new stock. I think we are sold out, but maybe some other retailers have them.
Someone will have one.
So definitely snatch one up.
Yeah, if you've been after that one, definitely. Nikon joins RE100, a global initiative committed to 100% renewable electricity.
All right, so what RE stands for? I thought it was Resident Evil.
It's Renewable Energy 100,
okay.
Which is a global initiative.
Okay.
It aims to source 100% renewable energy for electricity used in business activities. So Nikon have set a new goal of switching electricity to purchase for Nikon Group's business activities 100% renewable by 2050.
All right, so there's a bit of time.
A little bit of time. That's nearly 30 years.
Yeah, do you think we will be riding flying saucers by then? Or?
I hope that we'll at least have those sneakers that you have in Back to the Future.
All right, well, let's go back to the normal news, the news that we understand. Nikon updated their article on iOS 14 compatibility and snap bridge with their Nikon cameras.
Woo!
Yay! So 2 new cameras were added, the P1000 and P950. They say they fixed the issue with the upcoming firmware. So the 950 firmware came out last week, and the P1000 came out 2 weeks ago, which we covered before. They say there are a couple of things they mentioned. They say that you need to go to the setting of the snap bridge app. So if the camera doesn't connect, you need to check there, as well as a Bluetooth setting of your phone. So do read this article if you can't connect your camera to the phone.
I will do that when I get home.
Yes, and do watch my video as well. Speaking of some other releases, Nikon also released an N-Log 3D LUT version 1.02, where they updated it to include Z6 Mark II and Z7 Mark II cameras as well. You can do that. LUT stands for lookup table, and that's basically being used for videographers to color grade their video footage.
That's it. There we go. Good.
That's the one.
That's the one.
And then the next bit of news, that one is exciting to me.
Yes, so the Nikon F3 40th anniversary wristwatch is now available for sale at the Nikon Museum in Japan. The watch diameter is 35.5 millimeter.
That's right. And Nikon Rumors politely asks, why? Well, my answer is, why not? A lot of vintage watches were around 36mm diameters, and us, the horology enthusiasts, all know that the official Rolex Explorer was 36mm.
Right.
How many Rolexes do you have, Becky?
in my
your collection?
None.
Me neither. But I do have Seiko 5,
okay,
which is ultimate grail piece for a lot of people. And my question to Nikon is, why to use the quartz movement instead of a proper mechanical movement, even if it's a Japanese made?
I'm losing the plot here.
Why
I'm like, what are we talking
about?
about?
Commission Seiko or Grand Seiko, which is a Japanese manufacturer of watches.
Can we do that again?
The main question, in my opinion, is why to use quartz movement instead of a proper mechanical movement? Or why not commission Seiko or even Grand Seiko to make it for you, some sort of limited edition collaboration thing? You know, think big in a small form factor. Okay, ciao.
Okay, if you know, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Some exciting news for those of you that were asking for this. It's not a Nikon product.
No, not FTZ2.
No, but I like how you put that as the headline, FTZ2, as if, yeah.
And that's going to go on the thumbnail cover for our video.
Yeah.
For all the clickbaity things.
So much.
You got to do this on the internet nowadays.
Absolutely. So we have been sent a link by someone. Someone mentioned this to us a few weeks ago, a Megadap adapter.
Okay, yes.
What does it do?
Well, it's designed for Leica lenses. And it's designed to allow you to use all Leica M lenses, the manual focus ones, with that adapter. So manual focus lens, autofocuses on that camera via adapter.
Nice.
All right. So we thought that this is it.
Yes.
So it's only available for Leica. Let's wait and hope and pray for the same thing, but for Nikon F mount. What we actually find out recently that you can actually add a Leica to Nikon F adapter on top of that autofocus adapter.
Right.
And that will allow you to use your D lenses or your AIS lenses and autofocus them on Z cameras.
Love it. So if we didn't think it was possible before, it is now. Maybe Nikon could release the FTZ Mark II as a reflection of that.
Yes,
who knows? Because
absolutely.
The concept behind it, and we will include a link in the description box and also in the podcast notes, but the concept behind it is that the entire lens is moved by the adapter, which allows it to autofocus, which is a very clever concept, and we're quite excited about that.
Exactly. In a video published by Richard Wong, who reviews this adapter, he also tests his Nikon lenses.
Yes.
And what it shows us that some lenses work really well and some of them are quite slow.
Yes.
So I think if you're thinking about FTZ Mark II adapter in the future, it shows what challenges that Nikon might have because of releasing this adapter. They may need to overcome the slowness of the autofocus in some lenses.
For sure.
So, but also what I want to mention is the adapter cost by itself is $349 plus shipping.
Yeah.
And if you want to get a Nikon to Leica adapter, it's another $50. So it's $400 all in.
Okay.
So if FTZ comes out from Nikon Mark II, I think the price probably will be either, well, at least the same or a bit more. So
I would imagine so.
Yeah, so for all of us who are hoping for this adapter, also start saving up.
Tip of the week. Start saving up for the FTZ2. Now this week, not in Nikon news, but in Sony and Fujifilm news, we have 2 new camera bodies.
Yes, but no, I want to read that. That's more important.
Oh, the
GameStop thing. It has to GameStop thing.
Oh
it
my
has
God.
We have to be on the trend.
Okay. I've heard like Oh, if I say that word one more time, I'm gonna punch something.
Do you mean? The whole last week has been dominated by GameStop stock race to the moon, and the saga continues this week. There was a big squeeze on Friday. Did you know? How many stocks of GME do you have?
I don't care. So don't care.
Anyway, we also had 2 camera announcements. One from Fujifilm and another one is from Sony.
This is something I can have an opinion on.
Yeah? Well, I have a big note here. It says discuss.
Okay, good.
All right, let's do that.
Let's discuss it. So, first of all, why would we be bringing up a Sony camera and a Fuji camera on our Nikon report? And I think that is a relevant question to answer.
Yeah, why should we care?
Why should we care?
Oh, I think we should.
Absolutely. I mean, for one thing, and this is something that Gray has been saying for many, many years, when other camera brands bring out something and people automatically go, oh, but what do you think? Is that going to kill Nikon sales? Or is that going to do this, that, or the other thing?
Nikon is going down.
Yeah, that's the immediate response. However, when other camera brands and manufacturers bring out new products, it encourages and pretty much forces Nikon's hand to bring out something just as competitive. And we like that.
So what are you saying? Are you saying that the competition is good?
I think that competition is healthy, but a healthy competition is what we need.
So,
in a nutshell, Sony has announced the one.
The one.
Sony A1, right?
Is it Sony Apple one?
I don't know what the A, it's Alpha. Thank you. Jinx, touch wood. 1, 2, 3. You can't talk for the rest of the podcast. Okay, so that is a full frame, 50 megapixel.
Okay.
Super fast, 30 frames per second.
Yeah.
Faster autofocus than the A9 Mark III.
Mm-hmm.
It's the one.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. All I hear is $6,500.
$6,500. You can also shoot 8K upsampled video, I believe.
Okay.
Oversampled is
it's
the word
good that I have
an
8K screen at home, so I can actually use it.
You can actually take advantage of that. So the Sony A1 is obviously I would say, contender or comparison with our Z7 Mark II, but it has more. So much more.
Everything.
Has more of everything. And it's $6,500.
Okay.
Fujifilm GFX100s is a medium format camera with 100 megapixels.
100s, 100 megapixels.
Yeah, clever. See what they did there? Now, here's the interesting thing. It's a medium format camera. We don't really care about the frame rate or, in fact, anything else.
Do you think it's like a quest for the ultimate image quality?
I would say so.
Okay.
So they're not direct comparisons or even competitors of each other. But weirdly, the medium format 100 megapixel camera is £1,000 cheaper.
Yes, it's priced at $5,500.
That's right. And a bargain.
Well, yes, I'll take 2. No, but think about it this way. Yeah, so what they do is they say that at $5,500, you can get a medium format camera that gives you 100 megapixel image. Now, it's not true medium format. It's 44 by 33 millimeter sensor size.
Yeah.
While, let's say, traditionally it would be 6 by 4.5 or 6 by 6 or 6 by 7, 5 by 7, etc., etc. But it's still larger.
Yes.
And I guess because of that, obviously, the camera's going to be bigger, heavier, and slower. The lenses are going to be bigger. But the image quality, I guess, from the bigger sensor, as we all learned, the bigger the sensor, the better, is hopefully it's going to be better as well.
Exactly. And it is it's 900 grams. So it's actually not as big and heavy.
G50?
Yeah, exactly. And it also has 5-axis IBIS. So imagine a medium format camera with image stabilization.
And keep in mind that the previous model that this one is based on costed £10,000.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
So, in fact, although the Sony A1 and the GFX100s don't necessarily compare to each other, nor to something that Nikon currently have on the market, it is very interesting to us to see what Nikon come up with next and whether they're going to sort of respond to that release in any kind of way with a release this year, hopefully at some point, because we're already in February and we haven't had a release yet, or whether they're going to ignore it.
But I think it will be. I think the season of very expensive cameras coming out will continue.
Yes.
And the problem with that is, the question I have for everyone is, well, where's the sweet spot? Is $5,500 or $6,500? Is that where we're at the moment?
Is that what people are willing to spend on a top range camera?
Exactly. I understand this push in technology.
Yeah.
On paper, it looks fantastic. But at the price, how many photographers will actually need that
Yeah.
in terms of autofocus speed, frame rate, 8K as well?
Yes.
Well, it is great how many people have have 8K TVs.
Yes, or the processing power to deal with that kind
Yes,
of footage
yes.
as well. Yeah.
For me personally, I guess I wait for the second generation, so it will become cheaper, so I can get these new technologies, but probably at about £3,000.
Yeah, that's always wise, and I'm not planning to buy either a Sony or a Fuji camera anytime soon. However, it is interesting to see just from a pure kind of nerdy viewpoint of what is technologically possible.
The world is your oyster.
When you have 100 megapixels.
Well, here's an interesting quote from Thom Hogan's article, which is called For Those with Sony Paranoia. So he says, Sony's non-surprising Alpha 1 announcement this week seems to have set a few Nikon shooters into panic again. More disinformation and clickbait headlines are also proliferating. The common theme seems to be Nikon won't keep up and will fail. Nikon is going down, basically, yeah? Relax, take a deep breath. I would say keep calm and carry on.
Right.
Stop believing everyone else, sometimes uninformed opinion without a question. He says, and this is important, at this point, I'm aware of quite a bit of future Nikon products being developed. I'm not going to go into very specific details. Assuming my multiple sources aren't pulling my leg for what would seem to be illogical reasons, Nikon will have some moments in the sun soon. And the Z transition will continue. He also adds, I've also heard details on three other Z bodies in prototype at this point. And moreover, I've now heard details on 6 new Z mount lenses that haven't shown up on the roadmap yet. So I'm not bearish on Nikon. I'm somewhat bullish.
And I think that's very well said by Thom. Absolutely.
Absolutely. I would say GameStop to the moon.
We have no new reviews this week, but do have a look at the video from Ricci from Nikon School, who reviews the 51.2 Z lens against the 51.8S. I do like Ricci's reviews and the way that he gives a very kind of methodical approach.
Lots of brick wall shots. Well, it's his version of that.
Yes.
It's the shelves with the different things on
Yeah,
them.
exactly. So that you can quite clinically see the differences between things rather than taking them out into the field and showing a bunch of different pictures of things. So we like that. Go and check that out. The link will be in the description box and also in the podcast notes. Now, for your weekend read and watch, we have an article by Thom Hogan.
Yes, and a question as well.
And a question. And the question is, what type of buyer are you? Now, to quote from the man himself, it seems that a lot of folk are confusing themselves by not understanding where they fit on the time continuum of products. As I see it, you're one of 3 basic buying types.
All right.
Careful, tongue in cheek. So proceed with caution. The first option is future framer. You hang on the rumor sites as if you hang on the rumor sites as if your life depended on it. You constantly discuss cameras that don't exist yet. You see your next camera as solving some small, probably esoteric problem that won't really make your photography better. You seek bragging rights for what's in your gear closet. 60 megapixel full frame isn't enough, and anything less than a perfect lens gets your scorn. You'll pre-order the latest and greatest if it is hyped enough.
Yay!
So that's the future framers. The second category is present practitioner. You have a relatively current camera and related gear, perhaps with some gaps that you would fill if the price/timing was right. You spend most of your time trying to get the best out of what you've got because you know it's capable of a lot more than you're currently achieving. If you've fallen a bit behind in gear, you're looking at products that are already on the market that will get you up to current capabilities. And then the third one is completed consumer. You needed a camera, so you bought one. You don't need another, as the one you have is fine for what you do. Maybe you'd buy a replacement if yours broke, was lost, or stolen.
Maybe I'll buy it. Maybe I won't. No, the third type is my brother.
Yes.
He bought 3200. He broke it. He bought 3500.
Right. If
Simple.
It ain't broke,
exactly,
don't fix it. So what would you say that you were of these 3 categories?
All right. Well, I think I'm a number 2.
Yeah.
So present practitioner. I do, though, read Rumors website, and the thing we do here, the little thing, that's based on rumors and speculations and not real information. But I think common sense in buying should be the main thing that you need to do. If you need a new camera, you're way behind your equipment, that's okay. But if you want to get the newest and the greatest, why not? But if the camera that hasn't been announced yet, somehow, let's say 60 megapixels and not 70 megapixels is a deal breaker for you, and you want to cancel your pre-order for the camera that doesn't exist, well, that's not me.
That's not you. Okay, so you won't be cancelling your pre-order for the Z10?
No, not yet.
So I would also say that I'm probably a present practitioner, which is the second category. I have relatively current camera gear. I'm quite happy with it. I wouldn't necessarily immediately buy the latest and greatest thing. I tend to wait for another evolution or generation to come out before I buy into a new system. So I think that's a pretty sane viewpoint on
I think so.
camera buying.
Think about this way. The equipment that you currently have, does it let you to take pictures that you want to take? If it does allow you to do this, then it's probably fine to just keep it.
Yeah.
You don't really need to upgrade every generation.
No.
You don't really need to spend all your time thinking about numbers and specifications.
Yeah.
And actually, maybe get out, well, if you can.
If you're allowed.
And take some photographs.
Yes, exactly. What we're finding more and more these days is people buying particular bodies to solve a problem as opposed to just because they fancy it or they feel like it or they've seen the specs and it's made them drool or whatever it is. So if you're trying to solve a particular problem in your photography, then probably you'd fit into the second category as well.
Yeah, my question is, let's say in terms of frames per second, how many of us need more than, let's say, 5 or 7 frames per second? You know, there is a niche of people and, you know, group of people that will need a very high frame rate. And obviously there are professional applications for this as well.
Yeah.
But for, let's say, average Joe, how many frames per second do you need?
I think I was fine with the D700, which was like 7 or 6.5, something like that. Yeah, that was the sweet spot for me. He also posted a follow-up article, which is called Type of Buyer Comments, where he discussed the current dual SLR mirrorless market and the importance of marketing message from all manufacturers. So I would take a look at those. We did put the links in the description box and the podcast notes for you to have a go. Obviously, it is very tongue-in-cheek. Take it all with a pinch of salt. But I think it's some entertaining weekend reading.
Yeah, speaking of marketing message, a lot of manufacturers at the moment run their DSLR range as well as their mirrorless range. What marketing message means? We need to know. If, let's say, you're going to stay with DSLRs and produce mirrorless side by side, or you're going all mirrorless, etc., etc. So that's why it's important for us to understand those things.
For sure.
The next article we recommend you to have a look at is David Yarrow launched his volume 2 of his In Focus magazine, where he features some stunning photography. David Yarrow himself is quite avid Nikon user.
He is indeed.
Nikon ambassador, I believe.
That's right. And a friend of Grace.
Yes. In this magazine, there's an article that I personally looking forward to. He has an interview with a celebrated sport photographer, Neil Leifer, covering iconic shots of Muhammad Ali and highlights of his career.
Wow. Do go check that out. The link is in the description box below and in the podcast notes if you're listening on podcast. And
the last article on the list is called Man Ray, the unveiling fashion photographer who excelled. So this article about him, very kind of famous photographer. There is an upcoming exhibition of his unseen works, which is launching in Paris next week, I believe. And just a quick biography of him. So if you don't know who Man Ray is, definitely do check out this article. Thank you very much for watching and or listening. If you haven't already subscribed or followed our channel, we would love you to. We have about 2 weeks to go to hit 6K subscribers on YouTube. So please do hit the thumbs up, press subscribe, and see more of us on your screens. Yes, and do leave a review on podcast platforms as well, as it pushes up the list so a lot more people can discover us. Speaking of discovery, where we can see more of you, Becky. You can find me on Instagram at Rebecca_Danese, and you? Konstantin Kochkin on Instagram. There we go. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week. I'm like, she wants us to wave. What's happening?